Resetting your brain in just 10 minutes a day may sound simplistic, even improbable, given the complexity of the nervous system. But neuroscience tells us something powerful. The brain is highly responsive to short, deliberate interventions, particularly when they are applied consistently and with intention. Within that small window of time, we can initiate a cascade of neural processes that influence stress levels, focus, emotional regulation, memory consolidation, and sleep readiness. It's about activating specific neural circuits that promote restoration, recalibration, and performance, not through elaborate rituals or high-effort hacks, but by leveraging the biology of the brain with precision. First, we have to understand what it means to reset the brain. The brain is never off. It is always active, maintaining a dynamic balance between excitation and inhibition, vigilance and rest, action and recovery. But this balance can be thrown off by the demands of modern life. Overstimulation from screens, unpredictable schedules, high cognitive loads, constant noise, and fragmented attention. These pressures hyperactivate the brain's arousal systems, particularly the sympathetic branch of the autonomic nervous system, and keep us in a state of elevated alertness. Over time, this persistent activation increases cortisol levels, disrupts sleep, impairs decision making, and diminishes our capacity for focused thought and emotional regulation. Resetting the brain doesn't mean shutting it down. Rather, it means engaging mechanisms that rebalance neural activity, deactivate the stress response, and restore our baseline state. And crucially, the brain is structured in such a way that these mechanisms can be engaged very efficiently, often in less than 10 minutes, when done correctly. There are a few key levers that facilitate this reset: breathwork, visual anchoring, interoceptive awareness, and behavioral stillness. Let's begin with breathwork. The breath is one of the fastest and most direct ways to shift the state of the autonomic nervous system. Specifically, it can be used to activate the parasympathetic, or rest and digest, system, which slows the heart rate, lowers blood pressure, and quiets cortical activity. Among the most effective protocols for this is a pattern called physiological sighing. 2 quick inhales through the nose followed by a long exhale through the mouth. This breathing pattern maximizes alveolar gas exchange, reduces carbon dioxide levels in the bloodstream, and sends a strong signal to the brainstem that the environment is safe. As little as 1 to 3 minutes of this type of breathing can rapidly downregulate stress responses and restore cognitive clarity. Equally powerful is the concept of visual anchoring. The visual system is intricately linked with the brain's arousal circuits. When we are stressed or in a heightened state of alertness, our visual field narrows literally. The pupils constrict, and the brain engages in what's called focal vision, tunnel-like attention that's useful for threat detection, but exhausting over time. One way to reset this response is by intentionally engaging panoramic vision, softening the gaze, and expanding the visual field to include more of the periphery. This act reduces activity in the amygdala and stimulates parasympathetic pathways through the superior colliculus and other subcortical visual centers. It's a natural break on stress physiology, and it can be practiced anywhere, looking out a window, at the horizon, or even across a quiet room. Combine this with slow, nasal breathing, and you have a powerful brain reset in under 5 minutes. Interoceptive awareness, the conscious attention to internal bodily sensations, is another key entry point. The insular cortex, which integrates information about heart rate, breath, and gut state, is strongly implicated in emotional regulation and decision-making. When we bring focused attention to the body's internal signals, such as the movement of the breath or the rhythm of the heartbeat, we activate the neural networks that support self-regulation and decrease the activity of the default mode network, which is often associated with rumination and anxiety. A simple 10-minute practice of focusing on the rise and fall of the abdomen during breathing without judgment engages these interoceptive networks and reduces activity in regions of the brain involved in stress, distraction, and impulsivity. Stillness is a crucial element. Behavioral stillness, even if only for a few minutes, has a surprisingly strong effect on neural recalibration. When we stop moving, particularly in a seated or lying position, proprioceptive input to the brain decreases, allowing the thalamus and cerebral cortex to reduce their activity. This creates an opportunity for the nervous system to recalibrate without the constant influx of sensory information. In fact, stillness is one of the ways the brain enters early sleep stages, but even without sleep, physical stillness creates a state of active rest that is neurologically restorative. To enhance the effectiveness of this reset, it's helpful to stack these modalities. For example, sitting or lying still while practicing physiological sighs, engaging panoramic vision, and maintaining interoceptive focus creates a synergistic effect. Each of these techniques taps into different aspects of the autonomic and central nervous systems, and when layered, they provide a multi-pronged neural reset that is greater than the sum of its parts. In addition to downregulating stress, this 10-minute brain reset has benefits for attention and learning. One of the major challenges in the modern world is sustained attention. We are constantly interrupted by notifications, conversations, shifting tasks, and each time we shift attention, it costs the brain metabolic resources. Over time, this leads to mental fatigue and reduced cognitive performance. Short, deliberate resets restore the brain's ability to sustain focus by rebalancing the activity of the prefrontal cortex and filtering out irrelevant information. They also enhance neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change in response to experience, by creating windows of reduced interference during which new information can be better consolidated. It's important to note that timing and consistency matter. While the nervous system is responsive to even one session of reset, the cumulative effects are what lead to long-term changes in stress reactivity, focus, and sleep quality. Doing this once per day, ideally at the same time, whether during a lunch break, after work, or before bed, trains the nervous system to enter a state of rest more quickly and efficiently. This is a kind of neurotraining. The more you signal safety and restoration to your brain, the more it learns to respond in kind. The 10-minute reset also holds promise for improving emotional regulation. Many people experience persistent low-grade anxiety, irritability, or dysphoria without understanding the physiological underpinnings. These states are often a result of chronic activation of the limbic system, particularly the amygdala and anterior cingulate cortex. Engaging in calming, interoceptive, breath-focused resets reduces this overactivation and enhances activity in the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, a region associated with emotional resilience and top-down control of stress responses. For individuals struggling with sleep, the 10-minute reset can serve as a prelude to bedtime. Engaging the parasympathetic system through controlled breathing and stillness prepares the body and brain for sleep onset by reducing nighttime cortisol levels and quieting mental chatter. It also improves heart rate variability, a strong indicator of autonomic balance and a predictor of sleep depth. There is also evidence that this kind of reset enhances creativity. The brain's default mode network, while associated with rumination, also supports creative problem solving when its activity is balanced. When we take short breaks from active thinking and shift into interoceptive or panoramic states, we allow for unconscious processing to take place, often leading to insights or novel connections that are inaccessible during focused work. Furthermore, the 10-minute reset aligns with what we know about ultradian rhythms, natural cycles of alertness and fatigue that occur throughout the day, roughly every 90 to 120 minutes. After about 90 minutes of focused effort, the brain begins to show signs of diminished return, reduced memory encoding, slower processing, and more distractibility. Taking a 10-minute reset at the end of an ultradian cycle helps the brain return to baseline and primes it for the next bout of focused activity. Importantly, this practice is accessible. You don't need any special tools, environments, or technology. The only requirements are intention, consistency, and a willingness to pause. It's a reclaiming of agency over your own biology, a way of telling your nervous system you are safe, you can restore, you can reset. And from a neurobiological standpoint, that message is received loud and clear. Over time, the brain becomes more efficient at switching between high alert, and recovery states. The sympathetic-parasympathetic balance improves, the ability to concentrate increases, sleep becomes deeper and more restorative, emotional reactivity decreases, all from a habit that takes less time than checking your social media or answering a few emails. Ultimately, this practice is about precision. You're not guessing your way to better brain health. You're using the mechanisms the brain already uses: breathing, vision, attention, posture, and engaging them deliberately, scientifically, and systematically. In doing so, you create a reliable and effective protocol for brain reset that you can access anytime, anywhere. Let me know if you'd like the conclusion now. Resetting your brain in just 10 minutes a day isn't about escaping stress or avoiding responsibility. It's about building the neural infrastructure that allows you to engage with life more fully, more clearly, and more intentionally. When you consistently activate the mechanisms that downshift arousal, restore autonomic balance, and sharpen attention, you're not just taking a break, you're creating space for neuroplasticity, emotional regulation, and sustained cognitive performance. These small, deliberate windows of restoration compound over time, reinforcing a nervous system that is both resilient and adaptable. The science is clear. With as little as 10 minutes a day, you can recalibrate your brain in ways that transform how you sleep, think, and live. The power is already within your biology. You just have to learn how to access it.